Hello everyone and welcome to Laurence Plays Factorio, Space Exploration and Krastorio² as currently sponsored by trefoil.be, so check them out for all your game hosting needs. So, the big news from the last episode. Well, the big news is that we finally managed to launch a satellite rocket. So, that means we've now unlocked the navigation satellite, which allows me to sort of to pan around, have a look around the map easily like this, and more importantly, I can then click on buildings like this and have a look inside them, see what they're getting up to, and all kinds of useful stuff like that. So you can actually do remote control of things. I can put down cables and things like that remotely. I can do all of that sort of stuff that I'd taken so much for granted back when I was doing the old space exploration run, and then was really starting to miss in this one because we didn't have it. So now I'm glad we finally got that. It also means we can look off at other planets. So we then launched the second rocket. That went up, and we've now got the Universe Explorer, which tells us about it tells us about what planets are available in the universe. In fact, if I press, is it Y? Yes, it is Y. Then we can have a look. We can see this is what we know about now. We've spotted that there's a sun. Here's the planet we're on at the moment, and we've found Aereo, which is an oily little moon with loads and loads of oil. So we're probably going to head over there when we start to need lots and lots of oil for rocket fuel and other sorts of things as well. So that's there and easy to get to. We've also just discovered, and I'm not sure if this has actually happened on the multiplayer server yet, or whether it's just because I've had the game open for a couple of minutes while I was preparing for the stream. We've also discovered an asteroid belt, which has got loads of beryl on it, a little bit of uranium, and a few other bits and pieces and stuff like that. So we could potentially go out there once we start needing beryl. We'll see. We may find a planet that's actually better for that. So yes, rocket, and as I say, we've launched 4 of them now. It's still building another one. That's going okay. So as I strongly hinted at in the last video, I've massively expanded the machines making the in this case making the hydrogen and also the oxygen, of course. The machines making the ammonia in order to get up to having 2 solid fueled machines here running merrily, and increasing the production to something that's a little bit less pitiful. It's still pretty pitiful, but it's slightly better than it was before. At the moment, it's producing it fast enough for us to get a few navigation satellites up, have a bit of a look around, that sort of thing. But for the future, well, there's a station being put in here, as you can clearly see, and it'll come as no surprise to you to learn that we've moved on, and we're producing rocket fuel in a slightly different way. But I shall talk about that in a few moments, because that's something that somebody else has been doing, and I tend to always, because of my ego, I always talk about the things that I've been doing first. So after I built this up, I realised that we seem to have a bit of a shortage of green circuits, because at that point we just had, where is it, this little setup here producing them, and this has it's doing the wood recipe, which means eventually we'll have a shortage of wood coming in. And it's then we're making them here, but not in huge numbers. So as you can imagine, that's going to run into some issues. I'm not sure why there's a control thing on here. What's that doing? Enabled if. Okay, so it's linked to this. Oh, it's linked to here. So it's saying only pass the green circuits through if there's less than 2,000 in here. Fair enough. Okay, so it's like as we would do elsewhere with a control on the inserter, but you can't control loaders in the same way. So we're controlling the belt instead. That's fine. That makes perfect sense. I understand that. So that's why that's there. So yes, this wasn't producing green circuits anything like fast enough. So I came over here and I built this. Now this is bringing in. I got Tristan to build the stations for me because he's in charge of trains and he likes keeping control over it, because that way we're less likely to have other people get things wrong, I guess is the logic behind it. And the way this works is that we have obviously a massive quantity of copper coming in here. It's all going into this warehouse to work as a balancing system, and then that's being fed up here along with the stone bricks that are coming in from here. And I'm not sure why this warehouse is emptied and this one hasn't. This whole system is supposed to keep things balanced, but we did some learnings and we've discovered it's not quite as balanced as we thought it was. But anyway, these all come up here, and this is a direct copy of the this little bit here, or I'm not sure how much of it actually. Anyway, it's a copy of the system I was setting up further down to build the green circuits for making the red circuits, and these now produce green circuits in significantly larger quantities than we were before, although I do notice that this belt is full coming through here, and so we're not actually using up the ones that are being produced here as fast as we might. But still, this is capable of now producing a significantly larger number of green circuits, about 6 belts of copper's worth of them, and so we're now producing them a bit faster in much larger quantities. They're being fed down here into this station, where we can now load them up into a train here, and also once again, Tristan's made yet another station over here, which will then which the green circuits are dropped off at. They're then fed down onto the bus through some horrible spaghetti and brought along here so they can be used by everything else. Now, the problem with the green circuit production is it uses phenomenal amounts of copper. You can see that we've already emptied these stations, and we've got 2,200 copper in here, but we're ripping through it pretty quickly. Now it's only down to 2,000, 1,900, and so on. So we're getting through copper really, really quickly here. Now, it's quite possible there's a train. No, there isn't a train on its way out at the moment. Because so we do have the smeltery system over here that's making copper. And we have copper ore being brought in and so on. So we're making copper at a decent rate. And there's 4 belts going in, and this recipe takes in 20 and produces 15. So it's a 75% effectiveness. So we've got 4 belts going in. Therefore, we must have 3 belts coming out because maths. And they're all being fed down here into here, when it's being loaded into the trains. We seem to have a bit of an imbalance here, but goodness knows why that's happening. But we're plugging it through here, and eventually this train will fill up, this side of the train will fill up. What are we at? 32 out of 40 stacks in there, 29 out of 40 in that one. So eventually, as I say, it'll fill up, and the train will take the copper off somewhere useful. However, when I first built the green circuit production facility, this wasn't running anything like as quickly and efficiently and effectively as it is now, because we didn't have very much copper coming in. In fact, we didn't have any copper mines at all. So this was terrible. It just didn't work. All we had was the copper that comes in on the dribble along here that's coming in from the core mining system down here, and that's not remotely enough for what we needed. So essentially, I've come along, I decided, right, we need to go off and find some copper. So, had a look around the map. There's a copper patch there of about 800,000. There's one there, 1 million, 2 million up there. But I also discovered there's 2 over here. These were about 3 and a bit million each when we started. So I've come over here and I've built up the standard mine. So we've got an array of mining drills, belts coming through them and so on, feeding into a warehouse to act as a balancer, and then down 4 belts to go into the station down here where it's loading up a train, and once the train's full, it can, if it wants, now depart to go to copper ore drop, but it doesn't need to because there's enough over there. See, destination full. I talked quite a bit about how the prioritization system works during the stream. If you want to see that in a bit more detail, watch the stream or let me know in the comments, and I'll try and remember to talk about it next time. But I'm pretty sure I've talked about it before. So one of the things I did talk about a bit was the way we've got the drills set up here. So I've gone for the very, very basic, simple method of setting them up, where you put down rows and rows and rows of drills with gaps between them for power poles and gaps between them for belts. Now there are many different schools of thought onto the best way to do this. This is probably the simplest and easiest way to set up, and I thought it's probably fine. And given that we've got 4 solid belts coming out of here, and actually this is slowly going down. We're not bringing it in quite as quickly as we're using it up. But anyway, we've got basically enough coming through here. Now what you can do is you can cram them a little bit closer together by using lots of underground belts. So for example, you could come in here, you could put in an underground belt going from here to here, like this, and get rid of this bit in the middle, and then in the middle here you could then put your power poles in the middle of there like that, and then you could shift all of these. You don't need the power poles along here, so you could shift all of these drills 1 square over to the left as well to fill that in. Let's undo all of. Can I undo all of that? I don't know. Yeah, like that. So yeah, you can then move all of these across, and that saves you a 1/8 of the amount of space you're taking up. And then later on, when you've got really, really high mining productivity, so each individual drill produces the ores far more quickly. You can then do clever stuff with blue belts because they have longer underground belts where you start to stagger things. You'll have a belt going along here that takes the ore from every nth miner, and then you shift these across. So this one would be here, and then this one would be one across. You'd have another belt coming in parallel to it, going underneath these drills, and then so on in a sort of a diagonal. So you'd have your drills basically. Oh, I can't put it down there because there's no resources. Essentially, you'd have your drills sort of something like this, going all the way across here like this, and then other drills opposite them. And then because you're using blue belts for all of this, I won't be able to demonstrate this, but I'll try and do it with red belts as much as possible. You then have the belts going through like this, so you can skip past all of the other drills. And then you'd have your next set of drills probably this. So eventually this next drill will come down here, and you'd have it feed up like this to about here, and then you could have another row and another row and so on, and eventually you'd have one somewhere down here that was also feeding onto this belt as well. So you'd have the underground going from there all the way down here to wherever the next drill is. I think it'd probably be about down about here. and that allows you to get a massive number of drills, sorry, a massive number of belts coming out of a single patch. So you can pull the ore out really, really quickly. And that allows you to get a much higher throughput at the expense of having a significantly more complicated design to put together. So later on, that might be a lot more useful. At the moment, it's kind of pointless. So, we don't need that level of complexity at the moment, because this, as previously discussed, is more than fast enough. We're pulling the ore out basically as fast as it's going into the stations. Not quite, because as I said, this is going down very slowly, but it is going down. But it is basically okay. And so if we get a couple of productivity researchers, this will be better. This will keep up. Or I could come along and put in mining drill 2s, because that's a Krastorio thing. We've got over here, we've got mining drill 0, mining drill 1, and mining drill 2. So I could put these in. These will presumably run more quickly. So yeah, they're 50% faster, and they mine over a larger area. So these will be quite a lot more effective. They allow you to pull a lot more copper, a lot more of the ore out of the patches, and would then allow this to all be kept up with. That'd be great. I think at the moment though, it's okay as it is. And so in order to keep the speed up, I've also put in a second one of them down here. It's exactly the same sort of design, but this means that if we ever start to run low on copper here, or if we have such a need for it that we want to demand 2 trains at once, which has happened, then we've got another one here, so this train can go as well. So we have used quite a lot of copper from both of them, but at the moment this one is idling because we're not getting through it quite as quickly as we would otherwise need to. So that's the basics of the mine. The other thing I've put in is another of the outpost trains, and this is summoning exactly the same train that does the military outposts. However, it's only unloading filters and loading in dirty filters. So what we've got around here is we've got all of these air purifiers, because mining is a very, very dirty business. We go over to the map view and then turn on the pollution indicator. You can see that this mine here, which is working, is producing quite a lot of pollution. Now we've got the air scrubbers all the way around the edge of it, so they are dealing with the pollution basically about as fast as it's produced. And this pollution cloud was going out quite a lot further before, so we have managed to pull it back in, which is quite nice. And down here, where this mining drill has stopped, or this mine has stopped, you can see that the pollution, the scrubbers around there have managed to completely deal with the pollution. So this area is now completely clean, not producing any pollution at all. We talked about this previously in the last video for this system down here along this wall, where we've got them being fed along here. We've got the air purifiers picking them up, doing the purification, spitting them back out again, and that is in order to keep. As you can see, this whole area is now completely clean of pollution. You get occasional blocks of it shifting across like that, but they're getting cleaned up almost immediately. I also went in and put in the same sort of system along here. So I upgraded this station to also take in the filters and pass them out onto a belt. I've just blatantly copied Marc's design here because it was a good design, so why wouldn't I? And that leaves the nice gaps between the filters, enabling the dirty ones to be put out onto the same belt, which is great because it means we can have ammo on one side and both clean and dirty filters on the other side. It does mean you need to loop it all the way back round, but never mind. So yeah, these get passed along here. Again, filters all the way along here as you'd expect. Loop the belt round. I put in a little offshoot here to get a couple of filters out this way because there was pollution over here as well. And then we feed them back round to here, where they get passed down this belt and eventually fed back into the system again. So they'll just get passed round and round and round and round until they all get dirtied, and then they'll be put into here and taken off to be cleaned, as I talked about before. The other thing that I've done here, which is far more exciting, is that I've added roboports to this system as well. So now the train is also bringing out construction robots and repair packs. So they're brought out, they're put into the put in here. So as you can see, we've got full loads of repair packs, 222 of them. That's many. I possibly should have limited this, but I haven't. And 24 robots. The robots are limited to about 20, but it'll put more than that in, I think, because it's a stack inserter. So we should have about 20 robots. Oh, 20 robots in this roboport. Ah, yes. And this roboport, with the in construction mode, is now big enough to cover almost the entire area. I did need to end up putting a second one in, but with that, we are now able to cover the entire area, or at least the entire area that I suppose I care about. Maybe there should be another one down here, really. But we've covered most of this area with the roboport construction area, because but if I switch this one over to the normal mode like that, then if we look around here, then firstly, has it broken? Yes, has it broken the link between the roboports? Yes, it has broken the link between the roboports, and it's a much smaller area that it covers. So you can see this is the value of the of being able to set the mode of your construction of your robot port. So if I put that back into construction mode, then again it's linked to the one below it, and we've got that bigger area of coverage which covers nearly all of the wall. And as you can see, we've managed to these scrubbers have completely cleaned up after I put the mine in, and then didn't put the scrubbers in quite as quickly as I should have done. Oops. So yes, mining, air scrubbering, and oh yes, and I also put in the robot ports along the one down here as well, in exactly the same way. So we've got, again, they're all in construction mode because that's all they need to do, and that means that any damage that happens along here from biter attacks will be hopefully repaired straight away. We don't have new turrets or new walls available yet, so if anything gets destroyed, then oh no, maybe we do have walls. No, we don't have walls. We don't have walls, and we don't have new turrets yet. So if anything gets destroyed, we can't fix that. But we can keep on top of the repairs, and therefore hopefully nothing will get destroyed in the first place. So in order to get that up and working, I had to come along here and modify this train a little bit. So as before, we've got this in here now. It takes in the clean filters. It can bring back dirty filters, which get unloaded here and taken off to be cleaned, as discussed earlier, and then brought back around here to be reloaded back into the train. We're bringing in ammunition as always, but the exciting part of this is that I've added in, I've put robots onto the filter belt here, as you can see. So they're being fed in here and put into this chest so they can be loaded into the train, so we take out 2 stacks of robots every time. And also I've brought up walls and repair packs, which are being fed in here into these 2 chests. So again, we can put walls and repair packs into the train. Now we haven't got anywhere at the other end to unload the walls yet, but you know, one step at a time. This is going quite nicely. This is fairly simple. We've got if we look down the other end of this belt, we've got down here we've got walls being made by a wall making machine, put into a chest and also put onto the belt. They trundle up there merrily and get loaded into the train. Repair packs exactly the same. They're being made by a machine here that makes the repair packs, and they go out along here. Now we should probably program that. We should probably put in a program tutorial like that and tell this to only pass them across. Actually, no, we shouldn't use a cable. I take that back. Get rid of that. What we should actually do is we should use the logistics network. We should connect to the logistics network, and we should only pass across when there are when there is more than 100 repair packs available in the network. So now you'll see that light. We've got a red light on there now. This passes one across, and that stays there because this inserter now won't take them out of there until there's at least 100 available in the logistics network, and there's currently 2 probably. This one is working until whenever there's less than 150. So this will keep passing them across until there's 150. This will pass them out when there's more than 100. Yeah, that system is going to work and carry on working. So yeah, we do want to have some of them available here for the robots to use for repairing anything around the base that gets hit by a meteorite, or for resupplying the engineers with them as well. So that's those 2, and as you can see, it's going to take a little while for the repair packs to actually catch up and fill the belt up, but that doesn't really matter because there's enough in here to keep this going. They just need to trickle out gradually. We had the same thing with the bots. Bots we've made up to about here. However, bots are a lot more expensive than repair packs. So having a complete belt of bots that goes all the way from here, round here, all the way across here, down here, and all the way down to here seemed a bit crazy. So what I've done is, as you might have noticed up here, I've got a chunk of this belt has got the circuit conditions on it, so circuit thing connectors on it. So we're reading the belt contents here, and very importantly, we're doing hold rather than pulse, and that means whenever there's stuff on there, it'll output that resource. If it's on pulse, then it would ping each time a new thing came in, but it wouldn't hold the signal there. So as it implies. Then that is connected to this pylon, to this pylon, to this pylon, and then we've got a cable going all the way across here, and then down here to here, to this inserter, and we're saying if there is 0 construction bots on that bit of belt, that chunk of belt that I showed you earlier, then pass them out. But as it is, because there's some on there, it's stopped, it's waiting, it's not doing anything, it's not just putting out huge numbers of robots. And I think this should be absolutely fine, because worst case, we go out, we use up 20 robots at once setting up a new outpost, and there's 100 in here. So we'll pull a load through, and maybe it'll go from there being bots up to about here. It'll suck them through to about, maybe it'll even empty the belt, and we'll all just go into the chest. But then we'll start feeding them through, and we'll gradually fill this back up again, and until it gets to about here, until it gets to here, then it'll stop feeding bots through. There'll probably already be a few on the belt, so it'll probably get to about here before it actually stops. And then there's still a decent number on the belt going across here, and there's another 100 in this chest here. So I think that's going to be absolutely fine. There's enough buffer in this that we're not going to have any problems. I expect. I might find I'm wrong later, but for now I think I'm probably okay with that. Pretty much the final thing I did in the last session was, well, Tristan built up a load of extra stations along here in order to drop off more resources. So we've got silicon coming in now, which is needed for red circuits and circuit components and stuff like that. We've got nothing being fed in here. What are you? You're a stone brick drop. Okay, so we have a stone brick crisis at the moment. Oh yeah, obviously stone brick drop. There's stone bricks down here. So we have a bit of a stone brick crisis at the moment, apparently. So I think next stream I'm probably going to have to go out and make some stone mines, because I suspect the reason we have a stone brick crisis is because here, yes, we've got the trickle of stone coming in from the core fragment crushing, but we don't appear to have any being brought into these stations. So we're going to need to set up some mines to enable us to bring the stone in to drop off here. So we'll get that up and running next time. There's probably some stone patches around. Said in a inquisitive tone of voice. Let's turn the text off because it makes it a bit easy to see what's going on. Probably there's some stone patches. I hope there's some stone patches. I don't see any stone patches. There's iron there. Coal, copper, rare metals. This might be a problem. Oh no, that's not one. Oh, there's one. There's like 800, almost a bit less than 900,000. I'm going to hope that it's just that I can't see them against the sand, because it can be difficult to spot them sometimes. But this might be going to be a bit of a problem. Yeah, I don't see any stone patches. Oh, there's one. There's almost 2 million down there. Okay, so I'll go down and grab that one, and that will help a lot. And hopefully it'll keep everything running for as long as we need it to. So if we yeah, this could be a problem though if there's this much of a shortage of stone, just in general. So yes, Tristan put in a load of stations along here, dropping off the silicon, the stone bricks, the rare metals, the sulfur, plastic, green circuits, and all of this stuff. And then I came in, I did a load of bringing the belts down from there, and then horribly spaghettiing them through in order to get them onto the bus in about the right place. Potentially at some point in the future, we might rip out quite a lot of these belts in here just because it's all hideous and ugly, and then try and get them to come through a little bit more neatly. Or we might just not bother because, it works. Why bother fiddling with it? One of the other things that Tristan's been thinking of doing is extending. So at the moment, we've got a bit of a problem with the number of drop-off stations here. As you can see, this one doesn't work. We've got the green circuit was fine, but then we start to have problems with landfill and lakes and stuff over here. So this just won't do. We're not really making landfill quickly enough at the moment. I'll touch on that in a moment. So we're thinking we could pull up this power plant here, all of these greenhouses, and have a block of stations across here, and then another block of stations across here. The trains would probably have to come in all the way around here to get to them, but that would basically mean we'd have this sort of C shape of stations all feeding onto the bus down here, and that might be quite a nice way to do it. Now the big question is, how many more stations are we going to need for raw resources that we're going to bring to the bus? The simple answer is I don't know, because Krastorio² has added in a load of extra stuff that we're not really familiar with. But I know we're going to want red circuits at some point, and we're almost certainly going to want blue circuits. Beyond that, who knows? We may end up pulling some of these other resources off the bus. So, for example, we might decide that we want to make these engines or these automation packs somewhere. If we end up using them in massive quantities, we might decide any of these things that are being made on the bus, we may decide later that we're using them in such large quantities, or we're using them in multiple different places. We might have another town somewhere that's using them, and so we want to split off the production into other places. So there's definitely possibilities that we're going to be shifting stuff around quite a lot, making things in other places, bring them onto the bus, and then wanting stations to drop them off. So I think this is probably going to be nearly enough. our best bet at this point might actually be to scrap these stations over here that don't really work because the landfill, and also are getting a bit close to the bits that's spoilers. I'm going to tell you about that in a little while. And just have, and then get rid of those ones, and then just have the few remaining ones we're going to need down here and across here, and just sort of squeeze everything in a little bit. So we shall see. At the moment, we're a bit undecided about that, but we'll see how it goes as we get on and with the rest of it. So, what else has Tristan been doing since I'm talking about what he's been doing? Yes, he has been, as I say, concentrating on trains. So he's been putting in the stations around here. He's responsible for putting in stations here for me to do for the green circuit production. And as you can see, we've got the traditional copper problem going on here, where we've got no copper. So yeah, the smelting systems over here are not fast enough. We're going to need to do over here are not fast enough. I think we're going to need to do something about that. But I mean, it works. We've got that said. We have 43. We have like 160, 170,000 green circuits here. So it's not like we're particularly short of them. And I think I've got to the point where I've actually started putting limits on. And I haven't put a limit on that one. I've put a limit on this warehouse so we don't end up with too much copper being stored in an intermediary. Now there's no real risk of that at the moment, but eventually when we get to the point where we do have enough green circuits here and all of these are full, in fact let's do the same thing here. We should probably put a limit on this one. I don't know why I'm doing this because I'm not going to save this, but if we put a limit on there, then it'll mean we'll still have 100,000 in green circuits in each of these, but at least we won't fill that one up to be completely full, and this can just be used to balance. So it reduces the crazy amount of resources we'll have stockpiled over here. In fact, these ones as well probably should be limited to about half their capacity. They're mostly there to allow us to load the train up very quickly. Oh dear. Yeah, so Tristan, as I say, was putting in stations there. He's fixed the processed fuel over here, so now we've got coal coming in. It's being processed. I think he might have put in a second column of this as well. I'm not 100% sure. But we've now got much more processed fuel being produced, filling up. So we've actually got to the point where we've filled these up as far as they're allowed to be filled up. We can load the trains up. These can be taken off to be made into power and so on. I have observed that this area could do with a bit more pollution cleaning. This area certainly could, because it's got massive quantities of smelting. This area could as well for spoiler related reasons, and up here. We perhaps need to put in a few more of the little air purifier outposts, rather than just reckoning on having all the purification at the edges of the base. Although, we shall see. Maybe we'll change our minds on that, maybe we won't. So I've been talking for about half an hour now, so I think this is probably quite a good point to take a little bit of a break, and I'm going to stop the video here, and then in the next episode, which will probably come out tomorrow or something like that, then I'll talk a bit more about what everyone else has been up to and our plans for the future. So, thank you for watching the video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to check out the sponsor, trefoil.be/Laurence Plays. Go there for some information about the site, and then if you do decide you need a server from them, then go use the code Laurence Plays on checkout to get 20% off and make everybody happy. So, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow for the other half of this video, and then on Monday for the next stream. Thanks for watching.